Ambassador.
Oh,
Oh, he's
not
still in
really.
the ER.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hey, everybody. We're live now. Welcome to my 10 Forward Roundtable. I am Nobody Geek, and tonight we are going to talk more Star Trek, just like I always like to talk about in science fiction culture. And we're going to talk about a very fun subject, the militaries of Star Trek, because they are literally just as diverse as the militaries of the Earth culture right now. That being said, let me introduce everybody. I am Nobody Geek, as you've already heard. I am one of your co-panelists. Tonight, I have wonderful people, and I want to say one of my favorites. We have Stone Loki, and if you are not subscribed to Loki's Mornings of Mischiefs, you do not know what you're missing. Stone Loki, please introduce yourself, buddy.
Hey everybody, I am Stone_Loki, as Josh and Rebecca Momini like to put it, because Jeremy used to call me that over at Geeks and Gamers. I do a morning show Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time called Mornings of Mischief, and I do a night show called 7 Kinds of Mischief at 7 on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
All right. All right, awesome. Hold on a second. With that, let me I just want to post this real quick. All right. Hey everyone, report from the ER. Had to take Madam Ambassador for some abdominal pain, just waiting on the ultrasound results. We'll try to be hey man, you know what? No worries. You know my policy. You take care of your priorities. We are just here for fun, man. You take care of what you need to. Best of luck to you and Madam Ambassador. And with that, let's transition on to one of my favorite panelists, regulars, Mr. Meir.
Yes,
How's
greetings
that?
and salutations, everyone.
How's
And-
that? How's that starship going?
I'm still haven't touched it yet. I'm waiting for my for the lighting kit for the small one to come in, and I don't feel like spending $500 on the large one. But it is good to be back in the Mir Central Command.
Hey, it's good to have you back, man. We always miss you. And new to the panel tonight, Heiress of Chaos. And if you have not subscribed to her yet, please do. She had I think, one of the best first previews. And if I'm not mistaken, was that not with Loki? I could be wrong. But Heiress of Chaos, plug your channel real quick before we get on board.
Hello, everyone. I'm Heiress of Chaos, and my channel is pop culture based of anything and everything. I do 2 streams a week, one on Wednesdays at 6 p.m., and that's a more current news topic, and that lasts like about an hour. And then on Saturdays, I go for between 3 and 4 hours, and it's a more general topic about things that just discussing movies with like bad endings is one I've done recently. Movies that have ended their franchises is one I did last week, and my most recent one was about hype culture. So I just kind of started a few weeks ago, but yeah, you want to watch my stuff and if you like it, drop a like, subscribe.
Yeah.
Yes,
definitely.
I do, and I did.
Thank you.
Yes, I do, and I am definitely already a subscriber. To and the ambassador says, "Hey, PJ Orville Nation, man, thank you for stopping by. I had a chance to get on your channel earlier today. I thought it was a lot of fun. Thank you for taking the time to stop by. I hope you have fun.
And
Mark
hello
the
to Mark.
Infinitely me tired, yeah." I heard he is canceling his campaign to get to negatives.
Yeah, he gave up.
Yeah.
That might
I
be
feel
part
bad
of
for
the
the guy,
reason.
but you know what? He fought the good fight.
And greetings
fought
to
the good
Jeff B.
Yeah, Jeff B. Yeah, exactly. All the best to Mrs. Ambassador.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is always the priority, man. Hey, we're all here to have fun. Family always comes first. So, all right. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the and Purple Lady has
Yep.
just shown up. Good
Hey,
evening,
Purple Lady.
Purple Lady.
Good
We
evening,
all,
Purple Valkyrie.
One half of the Valkyrie team.
Yeah, now I just need her to get back to me because she's the only one of the Valkyries so far, I think, who hasn't got back to me on my Women of Star Trek, and I want to do a full women panel. Eris of Chaos has already agreed. My wife has already agreed. Samantha Joe, I believe, was the one who agreed, so I'm just waiting on Purple Lady. And all we need to do is set a time, place, and then all I'm going to do is introduce those lovely women. And then I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to sit back and listen to a bunch of wonderful women talk about the women of Starfleet
Dude,
or
if you,
Star Trek in general.
if you
You
do
know,
that, you got to do a drive-by, dude. It's like tradition. You got to do a drive-by on them.
Yes.
You got to do a drive-by and just pop in unexpected and be like, say something, and then boom, you're gone.
Yeah. Literal drive.
oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'll still be there. I'll still be there as the moderator and just occasionally maybe pop 2 cents in. But yeah, it's gonna. But yeah, let's get into our topic tonight, guys, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the militaries of Star Trek. And I mean, when you really think about it, the militaries of Star Trek have never been fully fleshed out. I mean, we can take a lot of inferences from different parts of culture onto what they represent. And since we kind of had a little off-topic round panel, I'm going to go ahead and go with Stone Loki. I'd like to hear your perspective on this.
Well, you've got Marines. You've got Marines. The Marines have been talked about in Star Trek. You've got Makos. As far as Starfleet goes, Starfleet is in a way a military organization, especially in TOS, because you've got the Klingons pushing for more territory and you have the Federation answering. The Romulans tried to do the same thing. Starfleet has in the past been a mainly military organization. You see it in the Dominion War. How much exploring are they doing during the Dominion War? Not much at all, because everything is focused on the war with the Dominion. So as the Klingons say, don't underestimate the Federation. You don't underestimate the Federation because they can change gears and become that military organization that will completely stomp your ass.
Hey, Stone Loki. I hate to interrupt you here, but I think you'll appreciate this. Remember in Prelude to Axanar, where they had what was it, Ambassador Saval being like,
Yep.
and then Dorian said, "Don't push the pink skins too close to the ice."
That's right, the thin ice.
And
right.
and he said he said something like a prophetic but accurate metaphor. And it was like, I know that Prelude to Axanar is not canon, but it's more freaking canon than the last bunch of crap we got. And
that
it was
shall not be named.
Yes, that which shall not be named. But
Well,
I mean,
they took a lot of that. They took a lot of that from canon.
Yeah.
When you hear them talking about the creation of the Constitution class ship, these races, even though they were in the new Federation, they never worked together until that Klingon War. So when you talk about the creation of the Constitution class, the Vulcans worked mainly on the warp drive and the defensive systems. The Andorians provided weapon systems for the phasers. They go back to canon and they say, well, that's why the phasers were blue and the photon torpedoes were blue, because they were provided by the Andorians. So you had these different races and the Tellarites too. The Tellarites worked on the ship. So you have all these races coming together to build one of the best at the time heavy cruisers, and they called it a heavy cruiser. The Klingons called it a battle cruiser because they'd never seen a Federation ship like that before. But you're exactly right. When Shran says don't push the pink skins onto thin ice, don't, because when Starfleet goes military, it's a sight to behold.
And let's just say this. I wanna kind of throw these back up real quick, just for fun. Makos do not get much love. Mark the Infinite retired. As a retired Air Force man and a person who spent 4 years in the Marine Corps in the infantry department, I totally agree. I one hands down agree. Hands fucking down. Now then we got Rambling Canuck, which I'm going to assume that means you're in the Great White North. Hello, NB Geeks. Let's talk and all. Hello. Thank you for coming. We hope you have a blast.
He's a good friend of, he's a good friend of Loki's Mornings of Mischief. Rambling's a great guy.
Oh, is that the one I saw with the Mountie on your outro?
Yes, he's the one
that's
Mountie
awesome
from WWF. Yeah,
that was good. I like that.
That's awesome.
Gotta love Shran. I agree. Orville Nation. I would have to say that was my favorite of his characters. The actor, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. Who knows his name?
But the Vulcan Master?
No,
the guy who played Shran, the guy who played Wei Yun, the guy who played Brunt.
Combs.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
No
okay.
idea.
Yeah, this is honestly, as I've been watching, as I'm in Enterprise, I am enjoying watching that character, and I'm like, this is really my favorite of his portrayals.
You got it right too. It's Jeffrey Allen Combs.
Yep.
Okay. But one of the things that the Federation, I always thought in Starfleet got things wrong was they would only get military when it was needed. It was like, when they got to the whole point in DS9 when we get to see the Defiant, and the whole point was, it was a warship, and they were like, they weren't into warships, they weren't into this is like desperate times. It's like, no, you've had desperate times. Why did you wait this long? And if you look at the evolution, and I'm only going to say this, I'm not promoting this, but if you look at my Eagle Moss starships and you look at them, when you look at Star Trek, Starfleet starships, they get away from the dome shape to the more pyramid kind of triangular shaped, more smaller, more mobile. They went away from what some of us, Mir knows this, we jokingly called the Galaxy Class, which is
the Carnival Cruise Liner.
The Carnival Cruise Liner. And they're going with Steam Runner, and they're going with Intrepid. They're going basically back to the drawing board, realizing that the Reliant is where you need to be if you're going to have a fighting force, as far as a mobile military force.
In the old canon, if you considered some of the books canon, there was a book called Ships of the Line. What was the guy that Kelsey Grammer played? That captain from the past? It was him, Scotty.
Yeah, he was on a Soyuz class ship. I can't
Class.
remember his name, but it was a Soyuz class ship.
Him, Scotty, and Spock helped design the Enterprise E. They wanted a sleek ship to fight the Borg that could take a beating, that could put out the punishment, and be the ship of the line for the fleet, a fleet command battleship. That's what the some people call it the Enterprise class. The Sovereign class was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the command center for the whole fleet if they went into battle.
Yeah, and that's that was basically the function that it performed once you got into like first contact.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, like for me, I mean, I do think that up until the motion picture era, Starfleet was the military. Yeah, and it even had said so much in in Wrath of Khan, where you had David Marcus go and say that how the scientists had always been the pawns of the military, and again, that's cool. And but once you start getting into that TNG era, it's almost like while they have the defense, they do have photon torpedoes, they do have the phasers. It feels like they let that means of defense go to the wayside in favor of their scientific endeavors and interests and exploration and that sort of thing. And then, of course, once you get this massive existential threat like the Borg, then they turn around and say, hey, you know what? We haven't developed any new technologies in, I don't know, 50 years. Maybe we should get on that just a little bit. And, that's where you see that transition and you see those warships being created. You see the massive, the Miranda fleet being overhauled to an extent to handle those more new and recent technologies. And just like we were saying earlier, this was the Borg in World War II terms. They awakened the sleeping giant. They said, "Here, now, okay, we need to get into defense." And then they do this massive expansion on defense, and and honestly, it wasn't too long until they actually had to do it again with the Dominion War. Because here you have I think they had Polaron technology. That was eating
It was anti-Polaron beams
in
that first episode. Yeah,
I stand corrected, good sir. Thank you. But yeah, so you have this one. You have the anti-Polaron beams, which are eating right through the shields of most of the Federation ships, and they went and they took out the Odyssey with a suicide run, followed by massive hits before that would just seem to go right through the shields. At that point, it's like, okay, yes, we need to develop our technology. And that is the one thing that the Federation is good at. They will science the shit out of anything. And next thing you know, like, oh, wait a minute. DS9 now has defenses against our weapons. How did that happen?
I see what you did there.
I'll know.
Starfleet never considered the anti-Polaron beam to be a threat because over time it will kill the entire crew. There are particles those weapons put off that in like a few years will kill the crew of the ship that's using them. So Starfleet never bothered to make a defense because they figured, well, no one's ever going to use them.
Exactly. It never occurred to them in any way, shape, or form that they would that there would be a race out there that would use, for lack of better words, completely disposable crew.
Yep.
Yeah. And now once that came about, it's we need to get on the ball on this. And there they go. And that's the one thing that the Federation is absolutely fantastic at is they put all their money into weapons research. And they found the problem, they scienced the problem, and boom, next thing you know, they're a force to be reckoned with within the first 6 months of the war. That's all I got for now. Just throwing it out there. Wow, good.
All right, nope, sorry.
No, please go, guys. I'm kind of. I am
awkward
enjoying.
Silence?
No. I am enjoying sitting back and listening to this. So I'm enjoying taking a little back seat here for once. You guys keep going. You're sounding fantastic.
Okay. Well,
Enterprise. Hold on a second. Let's see. Enterprise E is my battleship. Yes, I would agree. Oh, sorry about that. But this is where I was going, rambling Canuck, when it came to the evolution of stuff. There's a reason why Mir reveres the Miranda class starship, and rightly so. It was one of the most versatile, longest lasting ships still in service and could change and be adaptable to so many functions for Starfleet. I mean, it is one of those ships that has more functions than most others would possibly have. And it was still going into battle. Yes, unfortunately, you look at a Miranda class, it might have been cannon fodder, but you also need to take into account that originally a Miranda class had over 280 people, or I think it was 280 people, but it was in the vicinity of 200 people. That by the time the Miranda class was in the TNG era and the DS9 era and the Voyager era, they only needed a crew of about 58.
Yeah.
That means their technology on that ship was so adaptable to new stuff that they were still viable and able to adapt with a smaller crew. That is ingenuity.
Yeah.
So that's why I think after the whole incident, when you look at the cruise liners and stuff, bigger wasn't better. That's why we got the steam runners, the Intrepid classes, the Prometheuses. I mean, you name it, they started going to a more sleeker design and a more combat efficient, not necessarily combat as the primary mission, but Starfleet finally started getting their head out of their butt after a few centuries and realizing we really should do better because we are not that good at winning wars. Because if you really look at their history, sometimes the fact that they've won a damn war is shocking to me.
I mean, not necessarily. Sorry, Loki, go ahead.
No, go ahead, sir, please.
All right, you are our guest. Go for it.
The dish on the original Sovereign class, one of the things that a lot of people don't know, the dish on the Sovereign class failed on the original design. They had to take the NX Sovereign and space dock it and almost start from scratch as far as the sensor array goes. They were actually in the middle of building the Enterprise E when they figured out the flaw and installed the new sensor array into the Enterprise E first. That sensor array was the most advanced sensor array on any ship in the quadrant. That is the only reason why they had Picard out near Romulan space at the beginning of First Contact studying anomalies, space anomalies, because they had never had a ship that could scan all the way across the neutral zone and pick up those anomalies in space.
Yep.
The whole point of that dish was for battle, was for combat, was for when it's close to an enemy line and it's got a group of ships with it so that it could see further than any of the other ones and relay that information to the rest of the fleet that was with it.
That is.
Oh, hey, folks, let's just.
Sir.
Oh, hey, folks, let's just remember, this is not a let's talk Starfleet only military. We guys, we got a lot of other topics we can move on to. Otherwise, we'll be here for the next 10 years talking about Starfleet. So, does anybody have?
You are absolutely right in that regard. However, I mean, looking at the Federation in particular, they are the ones that have been able to dramatically change the most in such a short period of time. And so it is that.
I'm gonna agree with you on that one, Mir. I'm gonna agree with you. You kind of hit a point earlier that I heard, and I agreed with you. I was like, you're right. They're adaptable. And I was like, I did not take that particular thing into account of how adaptable Starfleet was. So, yeah, after all this time, I'm gonna say you're right. They are unlike others, very adaptable in going from one situation to the other.
And yes, you are definitely right in regards that I have a very special place for the Miranda class in my heart. But the reason why I do is because of that versatility. You can have 100 different Miranda class ships and have 100 different variations of them, and they can literally do anything. Some of them are sensor ships, some of them could be medical frigates, some of them are gunboats, some of them are just phaser boats, some of them are torpedo boats. It literally could do anything, and you would have I guess they would be limited in size for like the particular power plant or warp engine that they could use at the time, and maybe with the whatever warp factor, they may not be able to go so fast because of the the size of the warp drive. But really, that ship in particular, sure, you might have like 10 Sovereign class ships, but you can have 200 Miranda class, and I guarantee you they will take all 10 of them out in a heartbeat, just because they can be so varied. But yeah, getting away from that though. I mean, also let's also take a look at the Intrepid class. The USS Voyager gets stuck out in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and the only reason why these people were able to survive as long as they did is because they had the latest and greatest technology to be able to fire, the top class of photon torpedo. And then once they were able to contact Starfleet after a few years off in the Delta Quadrant, they were able to update into quantum torpedoes. And it was literally nothing for them to do it either. Quantum torpedoes, they didn't show up until what? Season 5, season 6?
I think, yeah.
So, I mean, the versatility of that ship, how everything was modular, for lack of better words. You just take out entire modules, put it, and install everything one module at a time. That really made all of the difference in terms of constructing the new ships of the Federation. And also, then this is also on a bit of an aside, how life imitates art. I don't know if any of you are aware of that, but nowadays, when the United States is building their new submarines for their submarine fleets, they now use a modular design very similar to what the Federation had used. They install everything one module at a time.
Well, yes, I did, but that's neither here nor there.
Well,
But no, you have
Federation ships
no.
are up.
You brought up
Sorry,
no.
go ahead.
You brought up a great no. But like I said, you brought up a great point there about that. And yeah, I mean, after hearing, you and I have had discussions both online, offline about the Miranda class, and your love of the Miranda class is like my love of the Excelsior class. They're two of the most versatile ships in all of Starfleet, and they're literally the only two left out of by the time when you look at it by the end, and they both can still hold their own. So yeah, I understand your love of it because we've sat here and pointed that out, and so I get that. With that being said, does Eris of Chaos, do you have anything you want to add on the military of Starfleet?
Yeah.
Well,
I would
go
love
right
to.
ahead.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I've only seen TOS, like all the movies, all the episodes, and a little bit of TNG. I have a very hard time getting away from TOS because Star Trek just doesn't seem like Star Trek without my boys, without Kirk, Spock, and Bones. It's like a mental block. So I have a very hard time getting past that. And so that's my limit of knowledge there. But that being said, I think, I mean, to me, Starfleet it's kind of like this. It's like the Space Navy. I know that doesn't really need to be said, but it is. It's like the Space Navy, but at the same time, kind of like an overarching government while not being a government, while also being very heavily based in science and exploration. And so I feel like in especially TOS, they didn't like really they didn't really what's the word I'm looking for? Evolve their military tech, because really up until they realized Romulans existed, or not just existed, but actually like interacted with one and saw one, the Klingons were like their main thing that they were kind of like, at war with. You know what I mean? So it just seemed like to me that they kind of capped their technology and at their military technology to deal with the Klingons, and then like invested most of like everything into like exploration and science. Because I mean, the 5-year mission that Kirk's on is to explore, strange. Everyone knows the opening. It's to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization. It's not, it's not military based, even though their rankings and their structure and hierarchy is military based, and their ship and everything. It's military based, but it's not. And to me, it just seemed like until you start getting like into the TNG, especially like when the Borg show up, like it's not really until like a huge threat starts, like a threat that they have never even conceived of existing, that they start going, oh, well, maybe we need to, not sacrifice one for the other, but kind of like remember that while exploring things out in this universe that we haven't, and finding new things that we've never seen before, that maybe we need to have, our ships equipped with, relatively updated and new, military features, because they're not all going to be friendly. They are going to be hostile. That's been seen time and time again, so it's, to me, I don't know, that's just how I viewed it.
No,
No.
actually, Eris, I'm not quite this far into Star Trek Enterprise, but I'm on the. And hold on a second, I got a cough. Apologize for that. There's a point in Star Trek Enterprise that's going to come up real soon, because I'm almost done with season 3. I'm about to hit season 4, and Captain Archer is, overseeing, looking at, the final preparation for the oh god, what is it called? The dry run, no, shakedown of the USS Columbia. And he is talking, and I think he's talking to the who's going to be the captain of the Columbia. He goes, when I first took this command, and he was talking with some professor, he goes, I didn't want our first encounter to be bristling with weapons. And then, by the time he ends, he goes, I was, in a way he says, and I'm paraphrasing, so don't quote me. I haven't watched it in a while. He goes, we needed those weapons and a lot more. So it was kind of a sobering moment where he had to realize, we need. I mean, when he talks to the person who did the lady who's about to take command of the Columbia, the captain, he says maybe you should have a chief of security as a Mako. And she made the comment about having military, and he makes the comment of, they come in handy. And I mean, that's the thing. When the Federation incorporated, one of the things that I'm going to call this an epic plot hole. I don't want to deep dive into it. We can do this later. But if Starfleet became the de facto exploratory, scientific, and peacekeeping, then what the hell happened to all the militaries of those specific planets? Because I would think that if you're going to have a federation, it would be a little like it would have the prime directive would be a little like the U.S. Constitution, where these planets would still have their own sovereignty, which means you would think they would still have their own military.
Kind of
But
like the
yet,
UN. Is that kind of sort of not really, but
maybe more NATO.
more NATO. Okay.
might be
Yeah.
NATO would be more of an accurate thing.
Since you bring that up, it's been killing me not to say something here. Number one, sci-fi talks about the Borcha battle cruiser and the Negbar here. You want to talk about NATO? The original Borcha, which wasn't called the Borcha, collapsed on itself the first time it went to warp. This is in the Borcha, the official Star Trek techno manual for the Borcha, and it does mention the Nekbar in this. Starfleet gave the Klingons a brand new type of what was it, inertial dampeners or whatever that they used on the Galaxy class. These were developed specifically for the Galaxy class because the Galaxy class was the biggest ship Starfleet had ever made. The Klingon, the KDF, the Klingon Defense Force, renamed the ship, the next ship they built, the Borcha, and called it the Borcha class battle cruiser. Those were the line. That was the line. This is the ship Gowron will eventually get. They use that same technology in the Negbar. The only reason the Klingons were able to build these battle cruisers, both of them, was because Starfleet gave them the technology to hold the ships together. Otherwise, they would have imploded in on themselves when they went to warp. They were too big, and the Klingons didn't have the technology to hold them together in warp.
All right. Well, with that being said, real quick, you can continue on with that, but make sure you unsubscribe to anything with Mark the Infinite Tired.
No.
He's apparently had
No.
well,
No.
apparently
Subscribe.
he said like
Subscribe to Mark.
apparently he said he had like 30 subscribers he was giving up, and I was like, no, come on, we can unsubscribe. Don't do it.
No, subscribe. Please subscribe. He makes good rock content.
Mark's a great guy.
Please subscribe to Mark's channel. Please.
No,
always.
Mark's a great guy. We love him. I would agree with Mark's. I would agree. The refit is really, really superior to the TOS era. And the Intrepid class is beautiful, but honestly, I kind of I tend to lean towards more Steam Runner and things like that because they look a little more Excelsior Miranda class hybrid.
Have you seen the Sabre Class? Have you ever seen the Sabre Class? It's in
yes, I have.
I like that little ship. I really do. The way it's got its nacelles kicked out on the side. It's all one main unit. There is no saucer section or anything like that. It's not a split ship. It is one solid ship.
Yep.
And it's sleek and fast.
I like it. And to Mark the Infinitely Tired also wrote that said, didn't De Nova and the Kira class pretty much take over the mission profiles of the Miranda class? Absolutely they did, but you still had 200 to 300 Miranda class ships just sitting around somewhere.
Okay.
So you might as well use them to supplement the fleet.
No. I'm gonna actually answer on this because you need to understand something. Those classes of starships you said that relieved them, yes, they did, but that didn't mean they just put the ships in mothball.
Yeah.
That's why there's hundreds of men. That's why the Excelsior class, being so adaptable, went from deep space exploration to more local, maybe border security kind of stuff. But as Mir knows, because he was on here where we talked about starships, I pointed out that they adapted a Excelsior class starship and it went toe to toe with a freaking Defiant.
It was Lakota. Yeah, they added ablative hull armor and quantum torpedoes and upped
Yep.
the phasers to type 10, to type the same type that's on a Galaxy class. So yeah.
Yeah. And that one is when I was like, oh man, you want to talk about geeking out? I mean, when they're going against each other, and I'm like, we're supposed to think that an Excelsior. Now, look,
It
here's the
wasn't
thing,
though.
and I'm always gonna say this. I really, really, really wish that the NCC 1701A had been an Excelsior class and not the refit of the USS Yorktown. Sorry,
Why?
I'm gonna go out there. I
Why?
would have preferred that.
You have to back that up. Why?
The Excelsior though isn't the Lakota. The Lakota had the extra engines on each side. It had the ablative armor. It was more an actual class of its own. They used that model from the Enterprise B, but it was not a standard Excelsior class. It was like almost like a different ship.
Okay, hey Loki, go to my YouTube page and check. I actually have I do a really quick video on my Eagle Moss of the USS Excelsior NCC, not NX, but NCC 2000, and the USS Enterprise. And I kind of go over and the differences. Now, granted, my camera angle wasn't the greatest, but you'll have to cut me some slack. It was my first time, but
I've got them
you
both
know,
too. I've got both of them, the Eagle Moss models. I got them both too.
so yeah, so you'll probably appreciate it. And then check out the other video I did where I actually, my Star Trek The Cage Enterprise came in, and then my I have my TOS, and then I got my USS Defiant. So I did my wife is actually, because I told you've seen Madam Geek, she does that stitch thing where she knows how to work the camera with her hands. She's been helping with that while I tried to explain the differences between those three ships. And but yeah, check it out and tell me what you think. But yeah, but I know the difference between Lakota, the Excelsior, and all them. But man, I tell you what, the Excelsior class and the Miranda class are the most versatile ships in all of Starfleet.
Absolutely. And the only reason why we did not get the Excelsior class and at the point of Star Trek 4 was that it was still under the experimental phase.
Yep, they had to pull that transwarp drive out of it and fit it with an actual warp drive.
Yeah, and, someone might have taken down the transwarp computer drive, which luckily saved a bunch of people.
Yep. It saved everyone on the ship. If they'd gone to transwarp, they would have all died.
Exactly. So the good things and bad things happen from a little, Loki.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a very versatile thing when you look at it. It went from it was a failed warp experiment, but do you really think that in history they're going to say, okay, well, it was a piece of shit because it failed in one area, but it obviously has excelled in everything else? Because, I mean, like I said, when I saw the Lakota go up against the Defiant and actually go toe to toe, I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah, it sucks it's Starfleet versus Starfleet and they don't know it, but still, it's like, holy crap, we haven't seen, and it was like, this ship could hold its own. So, I made the comment offline many times. Mir knows this, where I said I couldn't believe Starfleet ever won a damn war, and then Mir kind of made a point, where he said the Federation is versatile, and I said, I was thinking about it. I was like, well, shit, he's right. He is 100% right.
Yeah, my wife hates when that happens too. uh, the thing about the Federation, if there is something that happens in just about every single series, with maybe the exception of Voyager, is that you have this moment where the Federation gets caught with its pants down. You have the Xindi attack in Enterprise. You have the Borg in TNG. You have again what's leading up to the Dominion War in in DS9. Not so much in Voyager since they're on the other side of the galaxy, but you just have that moment where, yeah, it's just you see the Federation gets caught woefully unprepared. And then at that point, it's just, okay, we need to fix this shit. It's my bad. Let's fix it. And they do. And not only do they do this, they come back with a vengeance given enough time. And it's literally what happens every single time.
All right, I just want to, kind of go with this. Yes, great ambassador. You guys get home. You guys get rested. We're gonna, we miss you, but we know, you have more important things to do. We're all in this. Yep. Admiral Oliver Franklin Doom. You know what? Hey, great. Thank you for coming by. We are glad you stopped in. We love having people. I'm glad y'all had fun. I hope you did. If you did, please come back again next week.
So,
guys, I'm actually not gonna be on too much longer because I think I'm gonna have to limit this to an hour. I got look, I'm not gonna go into this online, but I got some kind of private information that came my way. I gotta go take care of some personal stuff soon. So
gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take off in about 15 minutes, but I got enough time for that.
So with the last 12 minutes here, let's move on to the Klingons.
Oh, please, thank you. Actually, you know what? Actually, I gotta be honest. I watching the first. Okay, this is probably gonna come out sounding strange, weird, but look, if you don't know me, this is just me. The first video I saw of Eris of Chaos, she was live, she was hanging out. She had some very Klingon vibes going. Like she really. No, I mean, let me explain something to you, let me say, if this was supposed to be, as far as I heard, her very first going live on YouTube and everything. And if that's the case, this chick got Klingon down because she was comfortable in her skin. She was confident. I mean, she was on fire, folks. And you know what? In the words of LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow, you don't have to take my word for it. Go to her site and check it out.
There's a reason why we call her the Battle Angel.
Hell yeah, man.
Thank you.
Oh, I give compliments and credit where they're due, and I'm telling you what, for being your first, I was blown away. I was like, wow, I would have thought you'd have been doing that for a long time. You seem very comfortable.
Thank you. Thank you.
And now you're
so
making
much
her
for
blush.
that. Damn it. How do people tell when my parts suck?
Because I might be blind as a bat, but my ears are perfect.
Y'all suck. Ugh. Man.
So yeah, about Klingons.
Anyway.
I mean, not
Oh,
to
sorry,
not
I
to
was
distract from this
highlighting
topic
that.
here for a moment. As interesting as it seems,
No, it's okay.
Well, let's
Please
talk
change
about the
it.
redheads for a minute.
No, go right ahead, guys. We got about 12 more minutes before I'm going to call it. So
if
let's
there's-
go. Let's talk Klingons.
let's just talk about what is, for lack of better words, some of the most badass warriors in the entire galaxy. I'm sorry, but you have these aliens. They have giant ridges on their head. They have quite possibly the most offensively capable ships in the entire quadrant. And you know that is all they have focused on from the TOS era to the TNG era and beyond. They have focused on getting as much firepower onto their ships as humanly possible. Of course, their armor isn't so hot. But you know what? Hey, there is no defense like a good offense.
They have one of the best defenses, though, because you don't see them coming.
That is true.
You got that cloaking device. You don't see them coming.
Oh, that is absolutely true.
Until they figured out, Hey, you see that little trail thing there? Yeah.
They have gas problems.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the obvious gas jokes. Go ahead, throw them.
But really, you have some of the most aggressive, really just aggressive weapons that you have of any other group in any other subclass in the entire Alpha Quadrant. You have the Disruptor, where while they are much simpler than phasers, they literally undo the molecular bonds and end up just literally tearing you apart from the inside out. Doesn't that make you feel good inside?
That sounds fun.
I mean, really, that's what I want to do on a Saturday.
That's a good Saturday right there. Being torn from the
Oh, what was the name? Okay, does anyone remember? It was a TNG episode in which Data was captured, and he was basically turned into somebody's pet.
Yeah,
like that's like part of their collection, and the guy had I think it was like a Veron B disruptor or something like that, and where if you fired it at somebody, and it was supposed to be like the most painful energy weapon way to die. That's kind of how I feel that Klingons are just on a regular basis. I love that you have this culture that is just wrapped up in honor and almost like chivalry, and and their weapons are weapons. They're not designed to maim. They're designed to kill, and kill as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, the batleth. You're not stunning with the batleth. Right?
No, you're not.
Yeah. You're also talking about a race of beings that killed their own gods because they were too much trouble.
And I'm sorry, that is some mythology that I just loved.
Yeah,
I love that shit.
They're so.
Hey, Mir.
Yes,
I'm gonna sit in the background for most of the rest of this because you guys are kicking ass. But we are gonna have to have a deep dive into Klingon mythology because it is one of the best Star Trek mythologies ever. And with that, go back to what you guys were talking about.
Well, I mean, okay, let's even go in another direction. Let's take a look at the weddings for Klingons. Even that's badass.
Yep.
I'm sorry, But if you have a wedding in which it's only really celebrated if there's a high body count, yeah, that's the one messed up in particular little culture that you got going there. But yeah, say what you will though, they are again some of, with honor being important, you have this just incredibly fierce culture, and their weapons reflect that. Every single one.
All right, I'm gonna say this about the Klingons, and I can only really try to drive this as best I can. But you know what the Klingons are to me? They're like my freaking time in the Marine Corps. I mean, I'm not gonna go into details. Oh, the ambassador. Hey, let's bring him in. Let's bring him in.
Oh yeah.
Come on, ambassador.
Hello.
Ambassador, hey.
Hell,
Hey,
brother.
ambassador, how's that, ambassador, man?
Just
Give us some good news.
Well, the good news is we're out of the ER. We're waiting for Madam Ambassador's meds to be filled, and we're at Sonic getting a couple of drinks.
That is the best
there you
way.
go.
to
Hell yeah,
celebrate.
man.
There you go, buddy. Awesome. Good.
I'm actually on my phone, so if y'all are breaking up or I'm breaking up a little bit, I do apologize. I didn't want to stop in. I was able to listen to part of the stream. Y'all sound like you're having a really good discussion. And I would love to do that Klingon mythology stream. Just give me a couple weeks to do some studying, because that would be a fun one right there.
Oh, yeah.
Kalis.
Yes.
Took a
Caleb,
lock of
the
his hair.
unforgettable.
He took a lock of his hair and he drove it into the fire of a volcano and then cooled it in the lake of Kapla or wherever the hell he was and forged the batleth out of his own lock of hair. How badass is that?
Yeah, there is definitely a but, and yeah, I mean, Klingon mythology is. I mean, if I was gonna say it fascinates me, would be an understatement. I wish that people would just make that shit up for us to read, because it to me is like when I was a teenager and I was reading Greek mythology and I was reading the Iliad, the Odyssey, the 12 Labors of Hercules, and I was just eating that crap up like it was nothing. And I was like, I equate the Klingons to that area.
Yeah. You can definitely see that. And let's all, and just something else that I love is that, for all how fierce the Klingons are, how just again how rich their lore and their mythology is here, and then here you have the Federation that is almost their perfect equal, not on the side of lore and the heritage and all that, but just how they can reach a level of technological superiority faster than the Klingons ever did, and because of that, they're almost perfectly on as enemies. They're perfectly aligned.
The Klingons didn't make their own technology. Everything the Klingons had, they stole from the Herc.
That or the Romulans.
Okay. Well, listen to this. It doesn't matter where they got the technology from. Let's go here. DS9, the end of the Dominion War. They're going down to Cardassia. They are decimating things. And you have
General Martok sitting on the planet.
No. Yeah, no, he's not General Martok. I think he's now Counselor Martok.
Yep, Chancellor.
Yeah, that's right.
He's Chancellor Martok. And he's getting drunk on blood wine and celebrating. And Cisco and the Admiral are, kind of the.
And a little Oreo cheesecake shake.
That's right here.
And then
Oh shit, that sounds so good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I know.
Ambassador, you gotta get me one, man.
Hey, cheesecake!
Ambassador, you can't just advertise food on the live stream and
Yeah,
then not buy all
man.
of us something.
I'm
Come on,
not
Seriously,
there
dude.
yet. Damn it.
Yeah. I mean, I just saw it that's like 5 minutes away, but I mean, just
If I was in
teleport it.
that
Teleport
Seattle
it my
zone,
way.
if I was in that Seattle zone, I'd cut you right now, man. That's it. You can't do this shit without sharing with the rest of us. What
It's
kind of
illegal, isn't it? There's
what kind of
fucking,
sacrilege is this? We're talking about Klingons. We're angry, for God's sakes.
yeah. Raise your batlets, guys. We're gonna go get food.
Kapla!
Kapla.
Success. But no, I mean, shit. Where the hell was I totally lost
I
my
don't
train
know.
of
Join
thought.
us in battle. We're going to Indiana.
Sonic interruption.
If I go to Indiana, I have to go visit. If I go to Indiana, I have to visit my my in-laws. And don't wait before anybody freaks out. That's not a bad thing. My in-laws, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, brother-in-law, sisters-in-law, they're all awesome.
Well,
I actually got, considering the fact that the first time I met them was 2 days before I married their daughter's sister,
yeah.
I met them 2 days before our wedding.
Oh,
It's kind of sad that you never know more about the Herc. All you hear about them is in that one episode, the Sword of
Yes.
Yeah.
What kind of a
Yeah.
race? How badass of a race does it take to enslave the entire Klingon people? And yeah,
really,
the Klingons,
very badass one.
yeah, and the
Oh my
Klingons have
goodness.
eventually fight
I
them back, but
How kick-ass do you have to be to enslave kick-asses?
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the only
get your
race,
drink, guys.
the only race that even would have had a chance in hell of enslaving the Klingons was the oh god, the Jem'Hadar. And guess
Yeah.
what? They would have still had zero chance of enslaving them. And it was no better done than in that episode. I know we're talking about militaries, but let's talk about Worf and his cultural heritage, his military background in both Starfleet and the Klingon Defense Force.
That has to be interesting, though.
When he goes in there, he's like, he walks in there thinking, either I'm going to die or this person's going to die. Doesn't matter. I'm going in and I'm going to accept my fate. And he goes and goes and goes. And he actually did something that was really very, very unique in the whole DS9 with the Jem'Hadar and the Vorta, where it was the Jem'Hadar commander, the first, he goes, I cannot defeat him.
Yeah.
I can only kill him. And that no longer serves my purpose. Because and he finally understood, yeah, you can kill him, but you're not going to win. Because he said, even Martok, the guy Worf pushed Worf could have been the ruler of the Klingon Empire by right. And he said no. He chose the right way. And he said, when he told him, he goes, great men don't seek power. Great men have power thrust upon them. And he put them on him. Now, remember, you got Martok looking at him and he's like, Worf, honor has been satisfied. You don't have to do this. And Worf is like, no, I'm not yielding. And when that Jemadar goes at him, and he's like, they're telling him to kill him. He's, it's like finish it. He goes, I can't defeat him. So he can't. That Jemadar could not teach his pupils that a lesson to beat that kind of a person, because all they could do was kill him. But you weren't going to break. I mean, you were not going to break Worf. I mean, this man was not going to be broken. He will die before he's broken.
This actually brings up a really interesting point, though. When you're looking at the Jem'Hadar and you're looking at the Klingons, they were a lot more alike than they were different, especially when it came to that they had their warriors. Both sets had a code of honor. I mean, yes, we knew about this in the Klingons, but we really didn't get that much info on the Jem'Hadar when and until that episode, really, about how just how they had a code of honor and a code of ethics, and how they were not very while they followed the orders of the Vorta, they were not. Sometimes they just didn't like them very much at all.
Hey,
You brought up
Mayor. No, no, hey guys, no. Look, you're bringing up a great point, but we've we've hit our threshold.
Okay.
We're over an hour and 3 minutes. But hey, guys, table those topics. Come back and bring them again. We got plenty we can talk about. I hope everybody had fun. We will be back again soon, folks. I will not be up next week. There will not be a discussion. My wife is retiring from the Air Force officially. I'm officially been retired for over a year. So, and our son, the day before the 4th of July, turns 13. So 1 July, my wife retires from the military. 4 July, we are both going to be retirees and veterans of the United States military. I am sorry, guys, but I am going to spend my time lighting up my sky with fireworks in celebration.
As you
As
should.
you should. Hey,
Yeah.
great minds think alike.
Okay, but with that being said, hey, it was great having you all on here. I love this. I know we kind of only really touched on the Federation and Starfleet and a little bit on the Klingon Defense Force, but just remember, this is a living stream. We can always come back. It ain't going anywhere. And I am here. And I want to say this. I want to say thank you very, very much to Stone Loki for and I can't remember the name of that stream you did, but that stream you did, it lit the fire under my ass that got me getting everybody together and putting this up. Man, you really just kind of hit that trigger, man, and I appreciate it. And
I'm glad. I'm glad. Thank you.
And I'm glad too, man. And that's why I'm saying, that's why, I want to have as many people in here as I can get. That's why when Eris of Chaos, she was like, is there an opening? I'm like, hell yeah, come on. Shoo. Absolutely. With that being said, Eris of Chaos, did you have fun? Did you have a good time?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Eris, love having you here. How are things going on your channel? You doing good? Everything and being enjoyable?
Yeah, everything's good as long as YouTube continues to behave itself and not punch me in the face like it did last Wednesday. But, that's all right. Other than that, yeah, everything seems to be going good. I will, for the foreseeable future, probably continue the uploading schedule of like 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, 2 p.m. on Saturdays, except the 4th of July. That one's kind of up in the air as far as me doing a live stream on it because, it's the 4th of July. But yeah, everything seems to be going well. I'm actually, and I just checked it, I'm actually 2 away from 100.
Nice. Congrats.
Oh, awesome! Congratulations! Awesome.
Yay! Almost
I
100
think
people watching.
I think I'm 6 from. I think I'm 6 from 200. But
Five,
I
actually.
remember. But hey, you'd be amazed how things can kind of change. I remember where I was. I don't know. It was a week ago. I was making comments. I was trying to get Loki up to what was it, 400, and then
400.
boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was making Twitter tweets, and I was like trying to get Loki up to 400, and boom, he exploded and got up to 500. I was like, that's awesome.
Look, I'm not really much of a YouTuber or anything. I don't have my own channel. I don't do any of that stuff. But, as far as the rest of you, I wish you all the most and most prosperous success in the world. If this is truly what you want to go after, don't let anything get in your way. Just love what you do and do what you love. And I think everything will take care of itself.
Yeah, hey, with you know what? With that being said, I'm gonna end this. Hey guys, if you want to stick around for a few minutes, for the Mir knows the typical after party. Him and I have a little bit of fun with that, but hey, this community is all about fun,
That's it.
and it is all about embracing opinions, diversity, and ideas, and saying, hey, we like something, we don't like something. It's okay to talk about. It's okay to listen to someone who likes something you don't like. It is okay for them to hear you say something you like and they don't. That is what IDIC is. And with that, I am shutting this shit down now.
Okay.
Later.
Later, everybody.
Bye.